ought to have some absorbent material. Yeah, well, I guess they took an early vacation. Yeah.
Minimizing loss, searching for clues, finding causes, striving for prevention. Pieces of a puzzle that must be assembled to prevent future accidents.
Some companies waste valuable resources by overlooking key pieces of evidence, making their investigations seem to be negative and reactive. However, as an investigator, you will have the valuable opportunity to identify information that creates positive, proactive results. I'm Don Harrison. Today, we'll look at techniques that you can use to improve your organization and stop unnecessary loss through effective accident investigation.
Let's go back to our scenario. This accident could have been prevented. Some may look at this accident and feel that the oil on the floor or the inexperience of the new driver were primary causes of the loss. But as you will see, further investigation will uncover many deeper problems that must be identified. Otherwise, the investigation can be a waste of time. After the accident, when the injured are cared for and secondary accidents are prevented, evidence from the accident must be collected to identify details needed to keep accidents from happening over and over again. A simple method for gathering information can be summarized in a system regarded as the 4 Ps: position evidence, people evidence, parts evidence, and paper evidence. The first P, position evidence, includes the position of people, equipment, materials, and the environment. Of the 4 Ps, position evidence is most fragile, and it can easily change or be moved. Let's turn back to our scenario to demonstrate the criticality of position evidence. Suppose the response to the accident was inadequate. Watch the scenario and identify how the removal of key pieces of evidence can hinder a successful investigation.
All right, people, let's look alive. We got an ambulance coming. Clear this stuff out of the way. We're gonna take these boxes out. Don't move this. Okay. We're gonna take these boxes out. Don't move this. Okay. Guys, my leg, please. We're gonna take these boxes out. Don't move this.
What problems could have been created? Stop to discuss, then restart the video. In the scenario, many pieces of evidence were removed which could reduce the chance of finding the important information. How can you preserve this evidence when beginning the investigation? Drawing sketches and maps and using photography are common methods for preserving position evidence. They help other people visualize what happened. Sketches record important information. The location of people involved and of key facilities and equipment can be noted with simple sketches of the site. These don't have to be detailed drawings. A simple sketch takes only a few minutes. Keep the sketch simple. Include only key items that are factors in the accident. Label them clearly. Photos of accident scenes can be useful to illustrate reports and save time in writing. Photograph the scene from all sides and use a long, medium, close-up sequence. First, take a photo to show the general scene. Then move in to show the equipment or workstation. Then get a close-up of the deficiency or damage you want to show. Put a pencil or other object of known size in the close-up to give correct perspective. This method lets pictures tell their own story. Ensure that you make notes about each picture, why you took it, and what the focus of attention is. Now let's take a look at how using the technique of preserving position evidence can improve your investigation. In this scenario, you will be shown 4 angles of the accident scene. Draw a sketch of what you feel is important position evidence. Replay this section of the tape as often as needed. Which items did you note? Stop to discuss, then restart the video. Some of the key items that you should have noted were the pallet near the accident area, the boxes on the floor area spilled from the pallet, the location of the forklift, the spilled oil remaining on the floor, the ladder lying on the floor, the clipboard and its location, and the wet floor sign and its location. No matter how insignificant these pieces of evidence appear to be, when combined with other types of information, each piece could hold a key to what happened. Now that the position evidence has been captured, let's look at the second P, people evidence. Witnesses are people who know something related to what happened. Some people are eyewitnesses who saw the accident happen. Additional witnesses may be people who designed facilities, ordered materials, trained operators, and others. Start by interviewing the eyewitnesses and the people involved. These are the most likely to know the details of what happened. Our memories, as well as our willingness to talk, can be affected by the way we are interviewed. To demonstrate how an inadequate approach can affect the evidence, let's go into another dimension. Watch what could go wrong if Dave were to use poor interviewing techniques with Chris, who claims to be an eyewitness. Identify weak points in the interview that could hinder the evidence if this approach were to be used.
Well, I really hate that the accident happened, but I couldn't believe my eyes. I turned around the corner, looked back, and Lisa, the inspector, was hanging from the rack. Not just climbing, hanging from the rack. Then Bob, the new forklift driver, comes around the corner flying.
Look, I gotta get some information for this accident investigation, and it can't wait.
Okay. Well, what's the tape recorder for?
Well, it's for the investigation. Now, look, you know and I know who messed up here, but let's go through the formalities. Now, just verify a few things for me.
Well, I was just...
Now, wait a minute, hold on, let me finish. Now, you did see that puddle of oil near the accident scene, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Now, Bob, our new guy, he just slid right through that puddle, didn't he?
Well, I guess he did.
Yeah, I knew it. He was probably trying to show off for Lisa. Man, I knew that kid was going to be trouble.
Maybe, but I think Lisa was climbing on the rack when she got hit.
No, Lisa's not that stupid. Well, I guess we can forget about our safety bonuses this year. Can't wait to see whose head rolls over this one.
What went wrong? Stop to discuss, then restart the video. You should have noted that the time, location, questions, and manner that Dave used could have distorted Chris's story. The following guidelines can help you to be more effective in gathering people evidence. Interview separately and in a proper place. Separate interviews are important to keep people from influencing each other's memories. Put the person at ease. Usually, a simple, sincere inquiry about the person's condition is enough. Get the individual's version by letting the person explain what they remember. Ask necessary questions at the right time only to prompt more detail in comments. Give the witness constant feedback by putting key points into your own words and repeating them. This assures that you are paying attention and gives the witness a chance to correct a detail. Record critical information quickly by making notes of key points. Avoid using recorders unless there are compelling reasons for using them. They make people uncomfortable. Use visual aids, especially if you aren't interviewing on site, by using sketches, blueprints, models, or instant print photographs. End on a positive note and keep the line open. Ask for ideas on how similar accidents can be prevented. Tell the witness to contact you if they can think of anything else. Now compare the actual interview. This time, Dave's techniques in gathering people evidence with Chris paints a slightly different picture. Take notes of the witness statements, as they will give you more clues as to what caused the accident.
Well, it's been a rough one today. You doing okay?
Yeah, I think I'll be all right.
Oh, good, good. Now remember, we're just gathering information to help prevent accidents, and tell you anything you can remember is going to be a big help.
Okay.
Okay, well, good. Then just in your own words, just tell me what you remember about what happened.
Lisa was inspecting some of the shipping labels that were on some of the boxes that were located on, I think, level 2 of rack 21. I walked by and she grabbed me and said, you know, can you see some of these numbers that are on one of the boxes, because it's too high for me to see? And I said, well, I can't see them either, but you know, let me get you a ladder. And she said, no, let me climb up on the rack. And I said, no, let me get you a ladder. It's not very safe for you to do that. You might get hurt. She must have climbed up there anyway, because it took me a while to get the ladder.
So she climbed up on the middle rack?
Well, I didn't see the exact one, but I mean, I must have been gone a long time, because I mean, I went to the tool closet and it was locked, so I had to go to purchasing to try to find a key. And of course, they weren't there. I finally found the ladder near maintenance, but by the time I got back, I heard someone yell, "Look out!" And Bob, the new guy, had knocked Lisa off the rack with his forklift. I mean, I tried to get over there as fast as I could. I got the boxes off her leg. I mean, she was in a lot of pain.
Okay, now, can you show me exactly where she was standing?
I think it was right there.
Okay. What else can you think of that might have contributed to this?
I really can't think of anything else. I don't know.
Okay. How do you think we might have prevented it?
Lisa should never have climbed up on the rack, and Bob, the new guy, I mean, he may have not been very familiar with the forklift. Maybe some training for the new guy? I don't know, I guess that's it.
Okay, Chris, that's all I need right now. You know my extension now. If you can think of anything else, please call me.
I'll do it.
Okay?
All
Thanks
right.
a lot for your help. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, you're welcome.
What went well? Stop to discuss, then restart the video. In this scenario, the statements made by Chris changed dramatically based on Dave's change in approach. Now, with Chris's statements in mind, watch the different interviews and take notes. These will be excerpts from the same questions that were asked, but their responses may differ. Ensure that you note what is consistent and what is not.
Well, you saw me verifying shipping numbers in my morning QC audit. Some of the boxes on rack 21 were too high for me to read. Chris happened to be walking by, so I asked him to help. He couldn't see the number either, so he was gonna climb on the rack to get it. I stopped him because I didn't want him to get hurt. So he said that he would go and find a ladder. I continued to check the other numbers. And then the last thing I remember was that I kneeled down and I placed my clipboard on the floor so I could see to another box in the back. When all of a sudden, this new guy on the forklift, he yells, "Look out." And then I see him lose control of the forklift. It just all happened so quickly. I didn't have time to move. My leg got pinned underneath some of the boxes. Chris was there to help me lift the boxes off.
What evidence was consistent? Stop to discuss, then restart the video.
When I started down the ramp, I hit the brakes, but nothing happened. Then I started pumping the brakes, but once again, no response. When I got to the bottom of the ramp, I tried to turn the wheels to avoid hitting that inspector lady. I mean, I even tried yelling, "Look out," but she was kneeling down right over there, and that load went right for her. I mean, the forklift even came to rest in that oil over there that you told me to look out for. I don't remember much after that. I mean, I was so scared. I don't know how we could have prevented that.
What evidence was consistent? Stop to discuss, then restart the video.
But that doesn't matter. The oil on that floor did not cause that forklift to go out of control. In fact, the seals for the forklift brakes, that's just another example of where purchasing is cutting costs in a needless way. They don't seat properly. And when they don't seat properly, they can leak. In fact, that kid was driving a forklift with no brake fluid and no brakes, for that matter. You know, Patrick, third shift driver? Well, he found a puddle of fluid near the forklift, and he found that it had no brakes when he did a pre-use inspection. He brought the form to me. I entered it in the maintenance log. Now, I was gonna fix it on the third shift, but that overhead line just took too long. Now, we just left the forklift where it stopped near the pallets so nobody get hurt when they tried to move it. Now, we really didn't need to tag out this forklift. I was gonna get right on it. Bottom line is, that new kid, he told me he didn't do a pre-use inspection. That kid shouldn't have been on that forklift in the first place. He'd have found that defect if he'd have followed the procedure of doing pre-use inspection like Patrick did the night before.
What evidence was consistent? Stop to discuss, then restart the video. It is important to note the consistencies in the statements that were given. You can already begin to notice that in combining position and people evidence, the oil on the floor and the inexperience of the new employee do not have the significance in this accident that other items do. The other factors mentioned are pointing to the brakes, but there is more to this accident than just forklift brakes. Let's move on. Our third type of information is parts evidence, which includes a look at the tools, equipment, and materials that people were using. Often, people's actions were prompted by worn or improper equipment. You don't have to be a technical expert to do this examination. A good leader knows what people need to do the job productively and safely. There are standards for usable condition, for guards, safety features, hazard warning labels, and others. Check for these. Sometimes part of the problem is in the failure of equipment or structures. You can learn to recognize the clues most likely to be found in your work areas. That helps make sure such parts get saved for a technical examination. Watch the following scene and make a list of the possible parts that contributed to the loss. What parts, seen or not seen, could have contributed to the loss? Stop to discuss, then restart the video. Some of the parts that could have contributed to the loss included all parts of the forklift, pallet, various materials, and the overhead line. If you thought about more parts that need more attention, you are on the right track to good investigation techniques. Paper evidence is the final type of evidence to investigate. Logs, schedules, personnel training records, and other files, in paper or electronic form, have information that can help identify the basic causes of problems. These are seldom at the scene of an accident, so supervisors often overlook them. Some examples of paper evidence include training records. When a person hasn't followed a safety rule, hasn't used the right procedure or equipment, check to see if the person ever got appropriate job instruction. Maintenance logs and records. When equipment appears to be worn out or previously damaged, check to see if there was proper service and repair. Schedules. When people are trying to operate and service equipment at the same time, or there are other activities that are going on that cause congestion or interference, check to see if there is schedule planning. Procedures and practices. Unclear or out-of-date procedures can lead to improper actions. Check if there were current standards for the job being done. In our next scenario, Dave will be talking with Renee in the personnel department about the various paper evidence that may hold clues to the accident. Take notes to identify various paper evidence that provides a key to more information.
Okay, tell me about your training.
Okay, let's see here. You know, everyone's had that new hire orientation and a signed statement regarding safety rules and regulations. That's all that's in Bob Daniels' training record.
Okay, what do we have on Lisa?
Okay, Lisa Evans. Now, Lisa Evans, she recently transferred from the QC lab to QC supervisor. She has all of the training from working inside the lab, but that's it. That's it.
J.D. Allstott?
J.D. Now, J.D. Allstott, you know he's been here for over 30 years, okay? But his last training was over 5 years ago when he had that lockout, tagout training. His last forklift workshop was over 10 years ago.
10 years?
10 years ago.
Wow.
Speaking of which, you know, I see here that you haven't had any training since you became a supervisor.
Here's that maintenance log you wanted, and here's the entry for those failed forklift brakes.
Well, where's the entry for that overhead line you talked about?
Right here.
All right. What about all this other stuff that hasn't been done yet?
What?
I said, what about all this other stuff that hasn't been done yet?
Look, there are only 2 of us full time now. I've been pulling double shift 3 times a week for the last 6 months.
Well, J.D., old buddy, you ought to have yourself a mighty fine vacation with all that overtime pay, don't you think? Yeah.
I guess I can't complain. I gotta go now.
Thanks, J.D. God, what a character.
I'll tell you what, looking at this schedule, looks like J.D. is the only person who's working those kind of hours.
I'll tell you, J.D. is one of the few hard workers we have left around here. Well, let's get back to the investigation. I need to take a look at job procedures and practices.
Oh, I think, let's see. It's right here. Safety manual. There it is.
Let's see. Here it is, forklift training. Well, what's this? There's only 1 page. And all that says is drivers must do inspections on their forklifts. That's all.
Oh, what about, I think it's in the back, the lockout, tagout procedure. I think that's in the back.
Here it is. Oh, man. Looks like the last time this thing was updated was when I was still driving a forklift. I'm telling you, the safety department really needs to get with the program. Well, Renee, I guess that's all the information I need. Listen, thanks again for your help. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Dave. Anytime.
See you later.
All right, take care.
What information is important, and which information would you investigate further? Stop to discuss, then restart the video. You should have noticed several key issues related to the personnel files, maintenance log, work schedule, and procedures and practices. If you noted other missing items or have more questions for paper evidence, you are once again on the right track to improving your investigation methods. Stop the video one last time and discuss the best ways that your company can preserve information gathered from position, people, parts, and paper evidence. Now let's review. Collecting evidence and gathering accurate information is essential for an effective investigation. Using the 4 Ps provides a simple tool for gathering information. The 4 Ps are position evidence, people evidence, parts evidence, paper evidence. Like pieces of a puzzle, all forms of evidence, no matter how small, must be gathered to make the investigation successful.
By using the 4 Ps of evidence, you are on your way to reducing loss to people, property, process, and the environment.